Hello friends, welcome to Impact Probables. In today's probable session, we are going to deal in the subject modern history, and the topic for today is regulating acts. The British government, the East India Company, after the Battle of Buxar, so they started to introduce a certain governing things in India. They started to try the dual government system. It got failure, and after that, the British government interfered, and it started to put various kind of acts to regulate the East India Company. So these kind of things will be referring it as the regulating acts. So even the charter acts which came later by, they were also regulating acts, and we'll be dealing with the various regulating acts in this video. So this is the area where most of the UPSC questions have been reflected from this time period, that is post Battle of Buxar and before the revolt of 1857. So we should always concentrate on this kind of acts: the regulating acts, Pitt India Act, and then the Charter Act of 1833 and 1853. So now let's first look into the Regulating Act of 1773. So this act was the major step towards British government control over the East India Company, and the key provision of the act was the establishment of the Governor General of Bengal. A Governor General was appointed in Bengal with an executive control of 4 members. So similarly, Warren Hastings became the first Governor General of Bengal, made the presidency subordinate to the Governor General of Bengal. For example, Bombay and Madras provinces were made as subordinate to the Governor General of Bengal in matters of war and diplomacy. The third thing, it established Supreme Court in India. The Supreme Court was set up at Fort William in Calcutta in 1774. It consists of a chief judicial officer and followed by 3 other judges. It had a jurisdiction over British subjects but created conflicts with company authorities due to vague powers. The next thing the act done is that it regulated company directors. The term court of directors was fixed at 4 years. The term of the court of directors was fixed for the 4 years. Earlier there was elected annually. The shareholders needed to own €1,000 worth of the stock to have its voting rights. The next thing, it had some prohibition on civil servants, the company servants. The company officials were banned from engaging in private trade or accepting gift from locals. We know who is the reason behind it. Robert Clive. The next thing is the parliamentary control. So British government, the British Parliament gained superior supervisory control over the East India Company's administration. But even though there were several defects of the act did not clearly define the relationship between the Supreme Court and the Council of Governor General. The Governor General lacked full authority due to the frequent conflicts with this council, and the law was silent on Indian rights and provided no means to curb corruption effectively. The next regulating act, the Pitt India Act of 1784. This act further strengthened British control over East India Company. There are certain key provisions of the act. The first one, the Board of Control was established. The act was actually introduced because the earlier act, 1773 Act, failed to monitor the company in a very efficient way, so that the company again became bankrupt. So the major key provision of this act was the establishment of BOC, that is the Board of Control. A 6-member Board of Control was created in London to supervise company affairs. It controlled civil, military, and revenue matters of the company. The second thing, a dual government was introduced. It was different from that of the system introduced during Robert Clive's period. Here, the Board of Control controlled political matters, whereas the Court of Directors, they managed the commercial affairs of the company. The Governor General's authority got strengthened in this act, in this regulating act. The number of council members was reduced from 4 to 3, making decision-making easier. Subordination of Bombay and Madras to Bengal was reaffirmed. Companies' monopoly in trade remained. However, strict control over finance was imposed. This act marked the beginning of direct British political control over India while still maintaining companies' rule. So these were the 2 major regulating acts, and we will be having another session to deal with the various charter acts which got introduced during the British period. Thank you, students.